Did you know that Elon Musk's awkward speaking style is intentional?
I love you guys too. I love you guys too.
And these techniques can make you sound more influential in a meeting or presenting. So in this video, I'll break down the genius behind it, and I'll give you specific tweaks to increase your authority without directly copying his style. Whether you like Elon Musk or not, you can see there are a couple deeper things going on that cause us not only to overlook his awkward presenting style, but embrace it. And we see it first in his eyes. When we watch Elon Musk speak, the first thing we notice is his eyes. They're doing something most public speakers are afraid to do. The problem is that we've been trained to think that great leadership presenting looks like a polished performance. We expect a speaker to walk out, flash a practiced smile, and deliver a set of remarks that feel like they were written by a committee and memorized in a hotel room. This might be right for a TEDx talk, but if you're trying to connect with your team in a way that seems natural, it's the wrong choice. Think about the last time you watched a typical corporate presentation. You could actually see the exact moment a speaker's eyes disconnect from the audience and drift towards their mental script or physical script if they're reading it. The delivery might be smooth, but you could tell the actual thinking finished weeks ago, leaving you with a performance that feels kind of hollow and canned. Elon's awkwardness works because his eyes show that he's actually present. He isn't scanning the room or checking notes. He's often looking away or squinting because he is literally accessing his memory and is processing complex in real time. You get the idea that the thought is alive while he's speaking, not because he's unprepared, but because the idea actually matters to him in that moment. He isn't trying to sound impressive. He's trying to work out something right in front of you. When we watch someone think in real time, we don't think of it as a lack of polish. We read it as conviction and raw belief. It's not an eye contact trick. It's presence. So next time you're presenting, stop worrying about perfect delivery and focus on the thought itself. If you stay connected with the idea, your audience will stay connected with you. Elon doesn't just talk about big ideas. He makes sure you actually understand them, which is a rare skill when you're dealing with things like orbital mechanics or neural networks. The problem is that most leaders use complexity as a shield. When they get on stage, the language gets abstract, the sentences get longer, and the acronyms start flying around without any explanation. Like, if you use the KPILT, make sure that you're aware that they may be falling into the TWTRP. I wish I was joking. It makes the speaker sound intelligent, but the room quietly disconnects. This doesn't happen because the audience isn't smart. It happens because the speaker has made understanding optional. Compare that to Elon's presentations. He's discussing rockets, artificial intelligence, and manufacturing systems most of us will never see. And yet, we rarely feel lost. Even when he uses technical jargon, he defines it instantly, often using a simple comparison at the very same time. He isn't slowing down to sound smart, he's slowing down to ensure he's being understood. And now this sends a powerful message to the audience. I'm not here to impress you, I'm here to bring you with me. His speaking often lands at a 6th grade reading level. At the end of the day, clarity builds trust far faster than sophistication ever could. If you want people to stay with you, make understanding non-negotiable. Remember that complexity isn't leadership, clarity is. Then there's the way that Elon handles storytelling. Elon's stories never feel like he's performing. They feel just like he's explaining his life. And there's a specific reason they don't feel forced. The problem is that most leaders treat storytelling like a separate tactic. They bolt a story onto the beginning or the end of a speech as a way to entertain or to break up the dry data. You can actually feel a gear shift. The speaker pauses and says something like, "Well, let me tell you a story." And the audience knows immediately the real message has stopped, so an anecdote can start. Everyone just waits for it to be over so they get back to the actual presentation. With Elon, the stories about failures, near misses, and things going wrong don't arrive with an announcement or a tonal shift. The story is the thinking. It shows up exactly where a question needs an answer or where a massive risk needs a bit of context to make sense. He isn't using a story because a public speaking coach told him to. He's not doing it to create more color. He uses it because the idea demands it to be understood, and because the story explains why a decision was made rather than trying to manipulate your emotions. It doesn't feel like persuasion. It feels like truth. To use this yourself, don't add stories just to make your message more interesting. Use them only when they clarify why the message exists in the first place. Now, this doesn't mean that Elon can't improve a couple of things regarding his technique, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But first, while his individual stories explain the how, Elon also uses one consistent, overarching narrative to explain the why. And it's the reason why he never sounds repetitive. The problem is that most leaders treat their personal story like a brief introduction. They share an anecdote about their childhood or a quick line about their values, and then they immediately pivot to slides or strategy or data. Once that introductory story is over, it disappears completely, leaving the rest of the presentation feeling disconnected from the person giving it. With Elon, the story never disappears because it's not there for charm or nostalgia. It's there as a justification. He talks about growing up obsessed with science fiction, imagining futures that don't exist yet, but he uses those memories to explain exactly why he's pushing towards Mars today, for example.
I mean, as a kid, I read a lot of science fiction, sci-fi fantasy books.
Yep, we talked about
and comic books, and I always liked technology. I didn't expect to be where I am today. That seems incredibly implausible. Yeah, I was inspired by reading about books about the future, about science fiction, and I guess I want to make science fiction not fiction forever. At some point, turn science fiction to science fact.
That early curiosity is the reason he tolerates massive risks and focuses on the next century instead of the next quarter. When you listen to him, you're not just hearing a business plan. You're hearing a worldview that has remained consistent for decades. Because he returns to the same core ideas over and over, Mars, exploration, the future of humanity, it stops feeling like branding and starts to feel like unshakable belief. The story isn't just color added to the message, his story is the message. When a speaker has a through line that consistent, the audience stops asking, is this a good idea? And starts asking, where is this taking us? Your core story shouldn't just be there to humanize you. It should be there to justify your direction. When people see your vision is backed by a lifelong belief, they'll follow you anywhere. Now, there is something a bit uncomfortable. Elon can afford certain missteps that most of us leaders can't. He walks on stage with a rock star level of credibility already built in, whereas we usually have to earn that authority, usually in the first few seconds. That means for the rest of us, small structural choices matter, probably a lot more. And you can see this clearly in the 2025 Tesla annual shareholder meeting. Look how Elon starts that presentation. He's introduced, there's some movement, some distractions, a few false starts. By the time he actually begins, nearly 90 seconds have passed. And then he doesn't just start, he leads with thank yous. It's an admirable, human, and gracious instinct. But notice what's missing. There's no immediate sense of direction. The room hasn't been oriented yet, so we don't know where we're going or what lens we should be using to listen to the rest of the talk. If you just added, I don't know, one or two sentences there at the start to say, here is exactly where we're headed, it wouldn't diminish his warmth. It would actually amplify his authority. Now, we see a similar pattern in how he finishes. He answers the final question, pauses and says, all right, and then gives a small bow and just walks off.
Definitely the alphabet needs to be in all languages. All right. So, all right.
It's a quick moment, but it's missed a huge opportunity because the ending is where leadership actually crystallizes for the audience. This would have been the perfect moment to step back, summarize the big idea, and remind the people not just what they discussed, but what happens next. He didn't need a polished performance. He just needed one or two paragraphs to reinforce the core message and to cast a vision forward. When people leave a room without a clear sense of trajectory, your influence leaks. Again, Elon could get away with this because of who he is, but most leaders can't. If you don't have built-in authority to that level, structure becomes your greatest ally. Start by orienting the room so people know where you're taking them, and then end by telling them exactly what the future requires next. Elon Musk's speaking works because it's driven by presence, clarity, and belief. not necessarily polish. But once you remove that rock star level fame from the equation, structure starts to matter a lot more. How you enter a room sets the trajectory for everything that follows. That's why you gotta watch this video, where I break down the 3 ways top leaders actually start presentations with authority. We'll see you next time.